Hi, this is John Bathurst with Compass and Bathurst Coastal Properties here in Manhattan Beach. Cheers. Thinking about making a move or investing somewhere outside the Los Angeles area? Maybe it's somewhere else in California, or maybe it's another city or state. Hi, I'm John Bathurst with Compass and Bathurst Coastal Properties here in Manhattan Beach. I'm going to be interviewing some amazing real estate agent partners throughout the country. Maybe places you'd like to invest or maybe move to. Coming to California, I cover the entire Los Angeles coastline, and I would love to help. I hope you enjoyed the upcoming interview. Cheers. Hey, it's John Bathurst with Compass and Bathurst Coastal Properties out of Manhattan Beach here. And I have another really exciting interview that I'm going to be doing today with a good friend and rockstar agent down in Newport Beach, Arthur Jeppe. Say hello, Arthur.
Hey guys, John, Thanks for having me. This is
great
good
to have you here. Just a little bit about Arthur. He's a husband. He's a father. He used to work in film, had a passion for architecture, and was also a water polo player at Cal Berkeley. So great things that he can talk about right there. But we're going to talk more about real estate today and not as much about Arthur. So Arthur, you hear about all these people leaving California. I'm just up the coast from you, and we kind of cover the LA and Orange County coast. Is there I have two questions for you. Is there a mass exodus out of California, or you see people moving to the beach? What's happening down in your world?
So you and I talked about this a little bit earlier. There are certainly people that are leaving California, and you read about Tesla building jobs out in Austin and all of that. But we're not seeing people leave the coast. And actually, if you look at the Tesla numbers, the business is still here and they're just building more out there. But on the coast of California, where I am on the coast of Orange County, like why would you leave that to go to Houston or Austin or all that? So we're not seeing people leave the coast so much, but we are hearing about people leaving. And then the irony is I've got two Texans right now who just went into escrow this week. And both of them say, why would I be in Austin? Why would I be in Houston when I can be here? And so there's value to be here. And I think a lot of people are realizing that there's good reasons to be here.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because I worked with a referral from Austin as well at the end of last year as well. So not everybody's leaving California for Texas.
Yeah. I joke with them. I'm like, you guys are fighting the tide, right? And they said, why would, we've been there for our whole life. It's time for the good life. So, yeah. So that's great. And I think that there's a lot of people moving within California. And I think that people who want to get out of the cities and metropolitan areas certainly want to be near the coast or near the mountains. Yeah. I mean, why would you not? And like you said, what's the irony of being on the coast in Southern California is you're an hour from skiing. You can be on the water in the morning surfing, and you could be skiing in the mid-afternoon. So right. It's kind of hard to beat.
It is hard to beat. So I have a question for you. What are you most excited about in your market right now? What's going on in spring 2022?
I love the fact that like the silver lining to COVID, one, I think, is appreciation of your home and appreciation of your family and the people that are important, all the good stuff that comes out of the trials and tribulations. But I also like the fact that people can be more mobile and they can work from almost wherever they want, at least most of the time during the week. So we have a ton of clients that are coming down to Orange County, and they're actually even looking into South County that never would have considered it when they thought that they had to be in town every day. So I like that we're actually sort of expanding into these nice little pockets in Orange County that people never really considered. I mean, there's some stuff in South County. You've got 25,000 square foot lots and a ton of room and views and ocean air that 2-3 years ago no one even considered as being viable. And now we've got people that are leaving Hollywood because they can work from home, or leaving the business that they can work from home, or not having to be an attorney that has to go downtown every day because they can do things on video to get to court and and all of that. So I love the fact of how much this area has really opened up. And I think that the ability to be down here and actually get on the road and drive to get across town. I have a house in Venice, and my tenants spend 40 minutes to go 10 miles. And I'm not bagging on the city, because I love Los Angeles, but the fact that people can be here and actually can breathe and get around town pretty easy is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, be careful about that, because Venice is one of my areas I cover, but that's okay, because I'm in Manhattan Beach.
So, if I sell Venice, you know who I'm talking to. Come on.
Yeah. So you mentioned South County. So anybody who lives maybe in Southern California understands what you mean by South County. You're in Newport Beach. Talk a little bit about the area you cover, and what is South County?
So I'm Newport is Central County. Grew up here. My wife grew up here. My parents are still here. So this is really my home base. But going a little bit north, you've got Huntington Beach, and then further south, you've got Laguna, you've got Dana Point, you've got San Clemente, and then a little bit inland from there is San Juan Capistrano and some of those cities just off the coast. And that's where we're getting the bigger lots, San Juan Capistrano, inland Dana Point, where people are starting to see the value. But I tend to work up and down the coast, from Huntington to Dana Point, and then a little bit inland into Irvine and San Juan Capistrano and Laguna Hills and all of that. My business is really predicated on referrals and people that I already know and people that I've grown up with. So I am a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
I work wherever someone needs me. I don't farm a specific block. That's just not how I work. And I like working with people that I know. So as a result, I was in South County this morning. I'm going north tomorrow for some inspections, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's great.
Awesome. Great. So the market's been on fire, not only here in the coastal areas in California, but the whole country's been on fire, right? It's been a seller's market. What do you think is going to be happening this year in the real estate market? Are we going to see more of the same? Are we going to see a slowdown? What do you think specifically is happening in your market?
I think, so the market is definitely strong for the sellers, but if you think about it, it's strong on both sides. And what I find fascinating is the interest rates are so low and so strong for home buying that works out to be an incentive. The other thing that I've been having a lot of conversations with buyers about is that the price that you're paying for your home becomes the new benchmark for that neighborhood. There was a time when you could overpay, and kind of people would scratch their head like, well, why'd that ding dong buy down the street for 50% more than anybody else would pay? But the market is moving so quickly that these homes that are selling for great numbers actually become the new benchmark. And those are what things are being compared to from that point forward. We had something that went into escrow at 15% over asking, and then just up the street, something else came on market and it went at 20 over asking, because that was sort of the through line for this. So I find it fascinating because I think there's a little bit more confidence in the numbers. Yes, prices are going up, and they're the best that they've ever been for sellers. But for buyers, I think there's a little bit more confidence that, one, they're getting a good interest rate that's going to be strong for a long time, and two, that value is there. And we talk a lot about, don't think about how much that house is worth to the market. Think about how much that house is worth to you. Because a lot of buyers look at past and look at past sales, but honestly, sales from 3 months ago don't really carry in this market. And even appraisers are having to look forward rather than look back. So they're looking at that through line. So I think there's tremendous opportunity for buyers and sellers. And then overall, I think the market is going to cool off a little bit, because I think there's going to be some fatigue. I think that there's buyers who feel like, you know what, we've been trying, and there's not enough inventory. And it's going to slow down a little bit, but the demand is still going to be there. Even if it slows down by 5 or 10% as far as demand, it's still going to be a seller's market because inventory is low.
Yeah.
So I think the market's going to remain strong. I think that there's going to be some people frustrated in 3 or 4 months, and they might say, you know what, we're going to take a break. for my clients to talk about taking a break and to say, well, you know what, we're going to take our money off the table because things are going to be different next year. And I had this conversation last night is, you know what, prices can go up 10, 15% between now and then there might be a 5-10% correction. You're still better off buying now than you would be next year. So, I mean, this is reading tea leaves. You know, there's no science, but the demand is always going to be there. I mean, everyone wants to be here in Southern California. I mean, why wouldn't you want palm trees, you know, every morning? So that's
a lot of really good points.
Huh?
And I think that the value of living in a place, as long as you're comfortable with if you have a mortgage payment, comfortable with that payment, and you can afford to do it, or if you're an all cash buyer and you want to be where you want to be, you know, longevity always, you know, trumps anything that you think you're overpaying on, because appreciation will continue over a long haul.
Yeah.
So
that's a good question too, right? I mean, that's one of the first questions that we ask our buyers is, how long are you going to be in that house? You know, if someone says, I'm gonna buy it now and sell it in 3 years and I want to make a profit, it's like, well, that might be harder than my buyers who are holding it for a long time. And, you know, they say that they're nervous about paying, you know, over asking or a percentage above asking. And it's like, well, you know, you as a buyer who's going to be in there for 20 years, you're in a much, much better position than someone who thinks they're going to be in there for 5. So a lot of it is just talking it through with people and figuring out what their plans are and seeing the value and the opportunity that those plans present.
Yeah, good points. So let me ask you, is there anything that concerns you about the current market that we're in?
I think it's outside of the market. The market doesn't concern me. What concerns me is a big correction in the stock market and in equities. That's the part, and you know, and the world market concerns me. I think that real estate, like you said, is going to remain strong on the coast. There's always going to be a demand, but if people see their 401ks or their equity positions change significantly, they might take a break and take a breather. The market itself, I think, is strong. If there's outside influences, that's the thing that I think about. And you know, you never know where that's going to go. But I think it's going to remain strong through the year for sure.
Yeah, I think that, you know, in terms of concerns, I mean, obviously affordability, where we're both, you know, along the coast, affordability is getting harder and harder. Maybe that's where we see some people who are leaving the area or leaving California because it's not affordable for everybody. Obviously, interest rates are starting to creep up a little bit. They're still at historical lows. So if anything, you know, just higher interest rates actually creates lower affordability. And that's the only thing I'm sort of looking at as maybe concerning just a little bit. Yeah. So you mentioned that, you know, obviously people are flocking to the beach. Do you see any sort of trend in terms of what the type of person who's flocking to the coast, people that you're working with? Is there any certain consistent trend there that you're seeing? You mentioned a couple of Texas buyers coming out to the Newport Beach area.
Yeah, you know, it's a funny question because the bulk of my business is people that I know, that I grew up with, or that have been here for a while. So they sort of already appreciate it, but it's really, really nice. The Texans are, I mean, it sounds like they're a pair, but these individuals who come from out of the area kind of refresh your perspective on where you've been able to live and the market that you work in, because they see things and they appreciate it. It's like, you know, seeing the world through your kids' eyes. You know, you start to appreciate how fun small surf is because it's really fun for them.
Yeah.
And so these clients who come in and they see a house with a view, or they feel the ocean breeze, or they just, it's the hottest it gets is 85 degrees. Like, to them, that is everything. So I have a renewed appreciation every time I work with someone from out of the area. And I think that I love that opportunity to introduce them to the things that sort of come to you and to me as like, yeah, you know, we live at the beach and yeah, there's a great view and, you know, it's foggy in the morning and it clears out and it makes for a nice day. And working with those clients from out of the area sort of renews my appreciation for where we live, which is awesome.
So when you see people that do move out of the market, where do you see them going, mostly? I mean, is there certain cities and states that you see a lot of people going to?
I see a lot of Southern Californians going to Austin, which, I don't want to be cliche, but I think that of all of Texas, I think that there's a certain sort of similarity between, culture and people and things like that in Austin. And I see a lot of people going up to sort of the Portland, Oregon, Washington border, and where you can kind of have the best of both worlds, the no income tax and then the no state tax. I work with a lot of people in the film industry, and so there was a big exodus out of Hollywood into Vancouver and Washington State, and also North Carolina. So I have a lot of people who look out of the area, and those tend to be the places. But now it's interesting. Like, I've got people who work in the film industry that are thinking about moving to Napa, just because of the quality of life, and they can work from anywhere they want. So it's really opened up where people are going. And the Carolinas, Washington State, and Texas tend to be the big ones.
Yeah, gotcha. So you work a lot of different communities and a lot of different price points, right? So it's tough to say, what's sort of the average price point in any one, given, or not. It's easier to do in one given area. Talk to us a little bit about some of your areas of focus and sort of what the average price points are for somebody who might be looking to buy a home there.
Yeah, so Newport in itself is the price points are a little bit higher. The cost of living, to be here isn't anymore, but the price points, the level of entry, the bar is a little bit higher, and it's always been that way. So Newport tends to be, 2.5 on up, 2.5 for, I say, on the low end, and on up, if you're waterfront, it gets pretty high up there. But what's interesting is I've got people that, paid $10 million to buy a waterfront house, and they tore it down, so it's the wherewithal, right? And to some people that's how they want to do it. They want the location, but they don't want the house, and they got to buy into that. And then there's some really nice parts of town that were sort of a little bit forgotten. There's some parts of Newport and Costa Mesa that were historically industrial. And that was kind of where we would go to listen to music because no one was around, and we could be in these warehouses and it was fine. And now they're doing, 3-level loft living. And that's been a big draw to a whole nother demographic of younger people or people that don't really want a big house, but they want to be here. Yeah. And what's fascinating is a lot of those homes are closer to the beach than a lot of Newport. So we're seeing that in Newport proper, and then further south, Laguna as a community and the village on the hill there. I mean, you're probably 2.5 to 6 on average. And further south, it gets a little bit sleepier and the prices go down. But it's hard to find something as nice as any of those communities. And I think people are realizing that the value is there. That's the other thing, is that the value is there. And we have these conversations, especially with the Texans, like, I'm paying what for what? And you're like, yeah, you're getting 8,000 square feet lot, but you know what? You're
paying for that. You're paying for that right there.
Exactly. And this is 1,000 steps behind me. And I had a client from Seattle that bought this house with this view, and he was like, I can't wrap my head around it. I said, look, you walk down the steps in your house, and you're on your private beach, and you've got surf, and you're swimming every evening. And that is your backyard. So like you said, John, our backyard is right there. Or you turn the other direction and it's in the mountains. Or there's a trail that gets you out into the greens. So
if I was a buyer coming to the Orange County area, and I said I have a budget, I need a 3 or 4 bedroom house, I have a couple kids, and looking for a single family home, and I have a budget. I could squeeze it up to a 2 million. I like to be at 1.5, but up to 2 million. And I want to be close to the beach, not necessarily on the sand, but close enough to, a mile away. Where would you start our search?
Yeah, I would say I would start East Side Costa Mesa, which is actually on the higher end of that, which traditionally was kind of a sleepy part of town. I mean, it runs parallel to Newport. There's parts of Costa Mesa that are closer to the beach than what most people think about as Newport, and that's a sweet spot and a great community. But it's been recognized for that. So those prices are going up. So you got some options in that price point in Huntington, which is kind of a bigger city, has a different layout. But again, you're 5-10 minutes from the ocean potentially. And then further south, you kind of got to get into Dana Point a little bit and a lot further south to really hit that price point. And then inland, Irvine's got a ton of stuff. There's some really nice stuff going on the backside of Irvine, like Portola and Trabuco Canyon up in the hills. I mean, we've got these hills that are covered with oaks, and there's trails back there that, go on forever, that are really amazing. So the opportunity is there. You just got, you're not going to be on the beach, but the beach is only 10-15 minutes away if you got a car and you're willing. So I want ripe with opportunity.
I want a one area answer. I now inherited a bit more money, and I've got 6 to 8 million to spend. So I got my budget's from 6 to 8 million.
Say that. 6 to 8 million.
So where are you putting me?
I'd put you on and you don't work. So let's quantify some of these things, because there's stuff that works in there. I'd put you at the end of Newport Peninsula, which is like a sleepy part of town. If you
talking about down by the wedge, down by the wedge.
Yeah. If you don't have to get off the peninsula every day, it's great. Like if you could just sort of settle in, it's really nice. I mean, every house there is a 5-minute walk from some of the quietest beaches in Newport. And you could take the ferry to get there, which is a nice way to come and go. But it's got to be for the right person. So if you're not there, I would be, I would be like Newport Heights, which is like, again, kind of was a sleepy, growing up here, like that was just a sleepy spot, and it's turned into a really nice, super walkable. I like walkability. That to me is really is what makes the big difference. So and I think there's parts of Newport that you can easily get into at that price point, and you can walk to coffee every morning, and you can walk to the Castaways, which is a park on the bluffs. I mean, at that number, you got some really nice options.
Yeah, you got a little more room.
And and I'll tell you, Laguna Village. I just got a client in a little bit below 4, and it's an awesome house. It feels like a tree house, and you're 3 blocks from the beach and don't have to deal with traffic and all of that. I like Laguna a lot. I think that's a great community. Yeah.
So my last question for you today, and I'm going to let you go after this, is, are there good investment opportunities? If I was an investor investing in real estate, say in California, what's the investment market like down there?
It's strong. I mean, I think the big conversation that we have with investors, probably across Southern California, especially near the beach, is that the value, investors tend to look at cap rates, and that's a good indicator, but so much of the value of a property is in its appreciation, right? And so that whole cap rate play is part of it, and then the appreciation is the other part. So there's opportunity. I mean, the market is definitely, running at a high point right now.
Yeah.
But if you're in it for the long haul, kind of like what we talked about for just a home buyer, there's an opportunity. I mean, if you look at appreciation, it's off the charts, especially over the last 2-3 years, which we know is sort of an outlier. But so many investors are used to looking at cap rates, and I don't think cap rates is half of the equation.
Yeah.
The rest of it is appreciation and opportunity. And so what's great about appreciation, right, different than cap rates, is that appreciation turns into equity, right? So you want to refi and pull some cash out, or you want to pull a HELOC to put your money somewhere else. You can do that and still keep that property.
Yep.
Where cap rates, you got to have a conversation with the bank about how much more income you're making and all of this other stuff. Instead, you're just like, you know what, I bought it for $2 million and now it's worth $3 million. So I'm going to pull 600,000 out and I'm going to put it somewhere else. So I think it's good. I think it's strong. But it does sort of there's a little bit of a tweak on what you expect and what your perspective is on it.
No, it's a good perspective on, building equity in cash versus just having a good cash flow. Generally speaking, you're giving up one for the other a little bit. The closer you get to the coast or denser areas, you're going to see a higher appreciation in your home value because your land is worth so much more as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That's pretty much the same up here in my world. It's all about almost investing in land and homes that will appreciate over a period of time, much higher than a cash flow would actually award you. So it's awesome. Yeah.
And that said, right, we know that rates are going up for lease rates are going up. I mean, if you hold it long enough, I mean, there's that crossover that happens, right? Is you've got a rental amount, and then you've got your 30-year fixed rate on the purchase, and those cross at some point, and eventually that rental or what income you're generating is going to go up. And so, like I have a couple properties in Venice, like I said early on, and I bought them at the right time, but the amount of income that those are generating on top of the appreciation is pretty amazing. So we know that people want to be in homes, and that was a big sort of change that happened through COVID, as people wanted their space. They didn't want to have to walk into buildings with other people, and there's a newfound appreciation for a house. So those people who don't want to buy a house, either they choose not to or they can't afford to, they're going to be renting a house. And wouldn't you rather rent near the beach in a nice place in a nice city? So those cap rates might not match other things, but those cap rates are going to increase as you hold that property. So I think it's a good time, and the longer you hold, like anything, the longer you hold it, the more value there is. So
terrific. Well, that's great information, Arthur. Any sort of parting words for the people who are watching us?
Oh man, I have a lot, but probably none of them are appropriate. I think that this is, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. I've lived a lot of places around the world, and I'm just, happy to be with friends and family and be able to introduce this part of the coast to my clients and the people that I care about, So it's a good place to be.
Yeah. Well, folks, if you are moving to Newport Beach, north to Huntington or south to Dana Point, Arthur Jeppy's your guy. Reach out to him. Thanks again, Arthur, for joining me.
Oh, thank you, John. It's always good to see you, and it's nice to talk with you about this stuff.
Right on. Peace, brother.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Later. Take care. All right. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below. And if you like the content, please like it. Please subscribe for further content that I'll be posting, and make sure you follow me on social media. Have an awesome day. Bathurst Coastal Properties.